Vanishing Sun says, so the question naturally arose, he's quoting here, he or she. The question naturally arose, if we understand the mechanism and motives of the group mind, is it not possible to control and regiment the masses according to our will without their knowing about it? Edward Bernays. Yeah, Edward Bernays, he was the father of a lot of the manipulation that we now see. I did a whole segment on Bernays, but on Redact Tonight, but it was years ago. It was probably 3-4 years ago. He was the, I believe, nephew of Sigmund Freud, and basically took Freud's understanding of psychology, and I assume he was probably trained in it in a similar way, and used it for manipulation and for advertising. It used to be ads would just tell you, hey, we have a new cigarette and you should smoke it. Please, smoke it. Do it. Smoke it. That used to be the ad. Then Edward Bernays came along and he said, you know what? You want people to feel something. You don't necessarily want to tell them what they're feeling or why. You want to connect in them an emotion that, and they don't even know why it's connected to that thing, and then they want the product to feel the emotion or to fill the hole in their soul. And he did this, and one of the earliest examples was it was the women's lib time, and I don't remember the actual years. This could have been 20s or 30s. But, women were a little bit breaking out and saying, you know what, I'm not going to sit in a house my whole life. I want to be my own person. Smoking up to that point, at least maybe in public, was considered more of a manly thing. They got my phallic symbol here, and, get the fuck back. I got a burning stick here. It was more of a manly thing. I'm not saying, no women smoke, but I think that if and when they did in public, it was viewed as them doing kind of a thing that wasn't ladylike. And so the tobacco company said, how do we get more women? This is half the market here, 50% of the country. How do we get them to smoke more cigarettes and take it to be a thing for women that is not so manly? It's for them as well. So what they did was one of the earliest stunts was they had I think it was a women's liberation parade or march or something, or they were connected to that. And anyway, they had their they've got on their short skirts, which was part of the we're not going to be held down anymore. We're not going to wear long dresses anymore. And they had on the kind of flapper skirts, and they had their pack of cigarettes like in their thigh band. And they were whipping out the cigarettes, and basically it was like a fuck you to men in a way. It was like, I got my own phallic symbol, all right, motherfucker, back up. And they made it like sexy and strength, the strength of these women doing this, and it blew up. Women across the country all of a sudden picked up smoking and became a thing. Now, unfortunately, it was killing them also, so they got to get cancer as well as the men, but. It basically stopped saying to people, buy this thing, and started manipulating the emotions connected to the products. And Bernays figured that out. And guess what? Then the Nazis figured out they could do that with, like, say, I don't know, massive genocide or war, or they used Bernays' ideas to manipulate people in a way other than just products. And it did not go well. But we're still doing that. Our government does that. Our propaganda outlets do it. And it just became the norm for governments, for the ruling elite to use these tricks, to use the subconscious to manipulate people. It's going on right now. The whole Russiagate McCarthyism, neo-McCarthyism, that is all about tapping into a deep fear that people have. That they're, and so does Trump's Make America Great Again. That also taps in to a fear that things aren't going well, life's not going well, the environment's not doing well. How do I deal with this fear? And they tap into that hole, that fucking dark fear in the soul, and they say, it's the Russians. If you just point at the Russians, it'll solve your problems. Or Trump says, it's the immigrants. If you just point at the immigrants, solve all your problems. And they're tapping into something much deeper than the actual conscious argument the surface level argument of, well, the immigrants are coming here and they want to take my job. Really? Do they want your job? Yeah. Well, no, they hardly speak the language. They're taking your job. Well, okay, well, they want someone's job, probably. I don't know. But my wife left me, and fuck immigrants. Like, it goes beyond the surface level arguments into a deep-seated feeling that people have that things aren't going well and that they deserve more, and they're afraid for the future, and they're afraid for their loss of security. And what do? You point to a great other. Trump's pointing at immigrants. The Democrats are pointing at the Russians. None of them say, hey, maybe it's the system we have. Hey, maybe it's the ruling elite we have who are sociopaths, fucking caught up in greed, fucking it consumes them. They are fine with destroying your lives and making you poor and keeping you down and keeping you laboring at jobs you hate your entire life. And that is all fine with them. And the way they keep you doing that is by making you afraid of something else. Not them. They're the good guys. They're with you. They're with you to stop the Russians. They're with you to stop the immigrants. They're helping you. But it's the others. The others are going to get you. So just listen to us. Come on in. Do what we're saying. Don't ask those questions you were asking. Ask about the Russians. Ask about the immigrants. It's the others. They're going to get you. Anyway, thank you, Bernays, for doing that, you fucking son of a bitch.